These Christmas horror stories are so chilling you'll think twice about hanging those holiday lights. There's something unsettling about the most wonderful time of the year, don't you think? Maybe it's the way the snowflakes fall, casting an eerie silence over the landscape. Or perhaps it's the twinkling lights, which seem to wink at you with an otherworldly glow. Whatever it is, Christmas has a way of bringing out the darker side of human nature. And today, we're going to dive into some scary Christmas horror stories that actually happened. From haunted houses to creepy Christmas traditions, we've got a collection of tales that'll make your skin crawl. And the best part? They're all true. So grab a cup of hot cocoa, settle in by the fire, and let's get started on this journey into the heart of Christmas horror. As we explore these chilling tales, you might find yourself wondering, what is it about Christmas that brings out the worst in people? Is it the pressure to be merry and bright? Or the darkness that lurks just beneath the surface of our festive traditions? Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure, these stories will leave you sleeping with the lights on. Let me take you back to December 24th, 1985. In the small town of Willow Creek. The Smith family had just moved into their Victorian-style home on Elm Street, drawn by its charming architecture and surprisingly affordable price. Little did they know, there was a reason the previous owners had practically given the house away: the Smiths. John, Mary, and their two children, Sarah and Timmy, were determined to make this Christmas special. It was their first holiday season in the new house, after all. The tree was lit, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Presents wrapped in shimmering paper lay beneath its branches. The aroma of Mary's famous roast turkey wafted through the house, mingling with the scent of pine needles and cinnamon. The trouble began just as the sun was setting. At first it was subtle, ornaments shifting positions when no one was looking, the radio switching stations on its own, playing fragments of old Christmas carols that seemed somehow wrong. The family tried to ignore these occurrences, chalking them up to their imagination or the house settling. Then 7-year-old Timmy started talking about his new friend, a little boy he'd seen playing in the attic. "He's lonely," Timmy would say, "and he wants us to join him for Christmas forever." His parents dismissed it as an imaginary friend, a common coping mechanism for children adjusting to a new home. But on Christmas Eve, everything changed. The temperature in the house plummeted despite the roaring fireplace. Frost patterns began forming on the windows. Not natural patterns, but twisted shapes that looked disturbingly like faces screaming in agony. That's when they heard it. The sound of children singing Silent Night somewhere upstairs, the melody distorted and wrong. Mary went to check on Timmy only to find his bed empty. Panic set in as the family searched every room. John tried to call the police, but the phone lines were dead. Even their cell phones showed no signal. Something was isolating them from the outside world. During their frantic search, Sarah discovered a hidden door behind the wallpaper in the upstairs hallway. It led to a room that wasn't on any of the house plans, a child's bedroom, perfectly preserved as if frozen in time. The walls were covered with Christmas decorations from different eras, some dating back to the early 1900s. But these weren't ordinary decorations. The ornaments were twisted parodies of holiday cheer: angels with grotesque faces, reindeer with razor-sharp antlers, and Santa figures with hollow black eyes. An ancient-looking journal lay on a dusty desk, its pages filled with newspaper clippings spanning decades. Each article told the same story: children disappearing from the house on Christmas Eve, never to be found. That's when they heard Timmy's voice echoing as if from far away. "Mommy, Daddy, come play with us. We're all going to celebrate Christmas together, forever." The room erupted into chaos. The decorations began moving on their own, the twisted ornaments flying through the air like deadly projectiles. The walls themselves seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and the sound of children's laughter, dozens of voices, filled the air. The family tried to flee, but the doors had sealed themselves shut. The windows wouldn't break no matter how hard they tried. As they huddled together in the living room, the Christmas tree lights began to pulse in rhythm with the ghostly laughter. The star at the top of their own tree burst into brilliant, blinding light. When the neighbors came to check on the Smiths the next morning, they found the house empty. The Christmas tree was still lit, presents still wrapped underneath. The turkey was still in the oven, now burnt beyond recognition. But the family had vanished without a trace. In the years that followed, more details emerged about the house's dark history. It had been built in 1902 by a man named Theodore Winters, who was rumored to practice dark magic. Every Christmas Eve, he would invite poor families with children to celebrate the holiday in his home. None of them were ever seen again. The house changed hands many times over the decades, but the pattern remained the same. Children would go missing, always on Christmas Eve, always without a trace. Some say that if you pass by the house late on Christmas Eve, you can still hear the sound of children singing carols, their voices distorted and wrong. Local authorities have since condemned the property, but strange things still happen in Willow Creek during the holiday season. Decorations go missing from nearby homes, only to appear in the windows of the abandoned house. People report seeing lights moving inside, though the electricity was cut off years ago. And sometimes on particularly cold Christmas Eves, people say they can see the faces of children pressed against the frosted windows, their eyes glowing with that same eerie blue light. The true horror of the Willow Creek Christmas house isn't just the supernatural events that occurred there. It's the realization that something as pure and innocent as Christmas, a time of joy and family gatherings, can be twisted into something so dark and malevolent. So this holiday season, as you're hanging your decorations and wrapping presents, pay attention to the shadows in the corners of your room. Listen carefully to the Christmas carols playing on your radio. And most importantly, be careful which houses you choose to celebrate in, because sometimes the most frightening things hide behind the brightest lights and merriest facades. Merry Christmas, everyone. And remember, not all holiday invitations should be accepted. Before we end this video, I'd love to hear your own creepy Christmas stories. Have you ever experienced anything supernatural during the holiday season? Share your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling tales. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep tonight.